In today's lecture, we discuss about that tumor-targeted drug delivery system. Next part. In this, we already discuss about the size. Then we also focus on that pagylation, that is the PEG coating. It was assumed that the particle size is small, it gets circulated over a longer period of time into the blood. But if the particle size are more, that is larger, around more than 150 nanometer, so it get engulfed by the macrophages, or it get engulfed by the various tissues of the body. So to prevent such types of engulfment or for longer period, longer circulation, so we give a coat of PEG over that. So it get circulated for the longer uh, time into the blood. So recent study has also shown that the polymer missile system tested release the encapsulated adenine within the matter of only 15 minutes after IV infusion due to the interaction with the blood component. So there is the interaction with the blood component. So we go with that pagylation. Nanoparticle with longer blood circulation time will have a higher probability of accumulating into the tumor. So these pegylated nanoparticle have increased systemic circulation time, and this appears to be dependent upon the molecular weight of that PEG we use. So generally, for longer duration and for targeting to the tumor and accumulation into the tumor, we go with the pagylation. So when PEG of the different molecular weight have IV injected into the mice, this is one study has been published by Yomakao et al. So they state that but that PEG 6000, which is having the molecular weight, was only less than 30 minutes, while it was extended to a day with PEG 190,000. So if molecular weight is increased, see the difference. Half life of PEG is only the 30 minutes, and if we improve it, we increase that molecular weight, so it was up to the 24 hour, 30 minutes and 24 hours. So the molecular weight or the types of PEG plays a major role. So the polyvinyl alcohol, that is the PVA, of different size also showed a similar trend in the systemic circulation time. Importantly, when we talk about this liver, so the liver clearance is known to be enhanced with the PEG having a molecular weight larger than 50,000. If the molecular weight is high, more clearance from the liver is there. This is the diagram showing that how this EPR effect is there. These pegylated nanoparticles are there, means nanoparticle having the coating of PEG. This is the blood circulation, okay, having some pore size is there, bigger pore size into this blood vessel. So they comes out from blood vessels and goes to the tumor cell. So here ligand receptor interaction is there, and this is the active targeting. Some receptors are here, that drug molecule attached to that receptors, and they enter into the tumor. Then active targeting, these are some types of active targeting. Pagylation is maybe a one type. Okay, this is again a general condition that due to more circulation it get entrapped into the that tumor. Then ligand receptor interaction in active targeting. This is the main that we also discussed in the previous lecture, that there is the interaction between ligand and the receptor. So the rapidly growing cancer cell overexpress cancer specific receptors, means there is a receptors are there, some specific receptors are there over that cancer cell, and which enhance the uptake of nutrient and vitamins. So that receptor, what they do, they absorb more nutrients and vitamins. So this may be the one kind of drug delivery system. Either you target with that receptor, or you put your drug into that vitamins or the nutrients, or you bind with that vitamins and nutrients and deliver it. So that vitamin will reach to that receptor, it will get bind and it will get enter. So with vitamins, drug maybe enter into the body. So this receptor can be used as targets to deliver cytotoxic drugs, especially to the cancer cell through receptor mediated endocytosis. So the delivery system arrive at the target site via the systemic circulation. Again, only circulation aids in such types of targeting. It requires efficient interaction between the ligand and receptor after nanoparticles meet their targeted cell. Means that ligand and receptor should react. If they are not matching, they will not react. They are if they are not in at specific distance, they will not attach to themselves. So these are some requirements. So the efficient ligand receptor interactions for active targeting, it depends upon number one, the extent of target cell selective expression of the receptor related to the target non-targeted cell. Means how much receptors are there, more receptors are there in the cancerous cell compared to normal cell. Okay, so here cancerous cell is the targeted cell, so we write here the targeted cell. Then the receptor availability on the targeted cell, then the rate of the internalization versus shading of that surface receptor following ligand binding effect. So how much there is in internalization versus shading, how they get react, how they get interact. Likewise, in between that ligand and binding is important. Further, the expression of a promising tumor targeting receptor may not be homogeneously distributed within a tumor or may change in its surface expression over a time. Means what? The receptors which we are considering, they may be get distributed unevenly. Means one cell have more receptors, second may be less, third may be somewhat different quantity in number. So they are, it also affects the targeting and their surface may change over a time. So thus one can envisage conditions where the mere presence of particle, ligand or nanoparticle does not ensure active targeting. So we can't say that every particle will give the same result. So in this, what we learn, though the drug is available at that particular site, but due to unavailability of the receptor or the less number of the receptor or the less interaction between the drug and ligand, okay, sorry, drug and receptor, drug is the ligand, there is not active targeting, even active targeting or equal active targeting. So the active targeting is depends upon number of receptors, their interaction. Likewise, a variety of ligands to those cancer specific receptors are such as monoclonal antibodies. These are some cancer specific receptors are there. So we use that monoclonal antibodies to target such cancer specific receptor. We use polyunsaturated fatty acids, we use folic acid, we use transferrin, we use oligopeptides, hyaluronic acid, aspartames, antibodies, vitamins. All these are used for the cancer specific targeting. Some sugar moieties are also used. So the tumor targeting drug conjugates typically consist of a TTM connected to an anti-cancer agent directly or through a suitable smart linker. Okay, so these drug conjugates should be non-toxic and stable in blood circulation to minimize systemic toxicity. So what happened? We get one carrier, that drug carrier will that carrier will attach to that drug. So we say that it is a drug carrier conjugates. So that drug carrier conjugates is comes reaches to that uh, cancerous cell through blood circulation. We expect that they are non-toxic, they are non-reactive. That carrier should not change the nature of the drug, the physical and chemical properties are most considered should not change. So, uh, first, in brief, we see the monoclonal antibodies in the tumor-targeted drug delivery system. So, the cancer cell overexpress certain antigens on the cell surface. So, these antigen can be used as a biomarker to differentiate tumor tissues from the normal tissue. What is means that cancer cell leaves some antigens. So if we identify that antigen and we develop antibodies against such types of antigen, so this will be a very specific drug delivery. That antigen antibodies will attach to that uh, uh, cell only which releases such types of antigen. So upon binding to the cell surface antigen and MAB, that is the monoclonal antibodies, drug conjugate is internalized, means it goes inside and anti-cancer agent gets released. Okay, that conjugate breaks, drug releases inside the tumor cells. One example is that so brentuximab vedotin targeting CD30 and recently approved by FDA for the treatment of Hodgkin's lymphoma. Then vitamins in tumor targeted. Again, there are receptors are there for the that taking the vitamins and nutrients. Some vitamins like folic acid, vitamin B12, biotin, riboflavin are necessary and required in larger quantity for cell division and to form a cancer cell, or the cancer cell requires it as a nutrient. So these vitamins receptors serve as useful target. So again we will bind it with that such types of vitamins, and then we will release it into the body. So it will goes to that particular receptor, they will bind, and due to there is release of that particular drug. So this folic acid is mostly in the form of the folate, and it is essential for the DNA synthesis, repair, RNA synthesis. So this drug conjugate when comes in contact with that receptor, so they get entered into the body, but they do not have affinity for the low affinity folate carrier, because we already discussed that the number of receptors are varying in normal cell as compared to the cancerous cell. In normal cell more receptors, receptors are there, and in cancer cell more receptors are there. So the possibility of attaching such types of conjugates to cancerous cell is very high due to the number of receptors. Such it is like the biotin also. Then the next one is the polyunsaturated, that is the PUFA in tumor targeting. Mainly, it research said that this polyunsaturated phospho fatty acids are more rapidly taken by the tumor cells than the normal cell. Some examples are omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids. So they are uh, taken in larger quantity by anti-cancer drug. So drug sensitizing activity against such cancerous cell may be there. Drug sensitizing activity means what? More affinity towards the drug if we bind it with the omega-3 fatty acids. So these PUFAs are readily incorporated into the lipid bilayer of tumor cell because they are having the same membrane, more penetration is there. So which disrupt the morphology of the cell and presumably influences the susceptibility of the tumor cells to anti-cancer agent. The PUFA components of the PUFA drug conjugates rapidly binds to human serum albumin to form a complex which helps improve solubility in the blood plasma. Then the PUFA drug conjugates are accumulated into the tumor tissues followed by uptake to the tumor cells, wherein the PUFA, that is the PUFA drug linkage, is cleaved and it releases the drug. DHA Placlitaxel, this is the example which has advanced to the phase 3 clinical evaluation against several cancer types, has been shown to have better PK pharmacokinetic properties and decreased efficacy than its parent compound paclitaxel. Some factors we have to consider during this tumor target. Number one is the clinical EPR effect. Okay, we already know that EPR effect. So EPR effect is differ from the tumor or tumor xenografts implanted at the same site and from site to site following implantation of the same tumor. Heterogeneous nature of the EPR effect. Then extravasation and intratumoral distribution. Carrier extravasation by convective fluid flow depends upon difference in the pressure between the tumor interstitial fluid pressure and capillary hydrostatic fluid pressure. Difference in colloidal osmotic pressure in both compartments. So this difference in the pressure also affect the delivery of the drug, and also that concentration gradient is important. Most solid tumor develop higher interstitial fluid pressure ranging from 5 to 40 millimeter depending upon the tumor size. And when we talk about the normal tissue pressure, it is the less than 3 millimeter of the Hg. So there is more pressure inside the tumor cell. Drug carrier moves into the tumor tissue compartment by random Brownian motion through openings between vascular endothelial cells whose size can be sufficiently large for the passage of a wide range of nanoparticles. So, more Brownian motion of that particular get drug to pass into the cancer cell through the cell membrane. So there is the fenestration. Fenestrate means it is a like a sieve, okay, where drug particle get entrap and then enter into the cell. The rate of diffusional extravasation at a given concentration gradient across tumor vascular fenestrate can be controlled by size or shape of that nanoparticle, their properties, even though the charge, even though its hydrophilic or hydrophobic nature, and some biological factors like density, distribution, size of blood vessels. Then tumor heterogeneity. This is the another point. Tumor heterogeneity means what? Tumors, different tumors have distinguished property, have some different properties. So the clinically tumors are classified as one of the multiple potential subtypes using histological and genetic profiling. We did histological study, we did genetic profiling, and from that we came to know that they are there are several subtypes of tumors. So the tumors in the central nervous system, that is the CNS, can be categorized into number of around 120 subtypes. See how many types of central CNS tumors are there, and this depends upon the histological study. Okay, so the existence of the multiple cellular population within a tumor, this is the main cause for such types of variations or the types of tumor. That cellular structures are different, their layering is different. Okay, so there is difference in the tumor number size or their types. So due to the mutable nature of the cancer cell, their nature and characteristics can change both spatially and temporarily with a tumor. Overexpression, this is another factor we have to consider, means cell specific targeted drug delivery. This term is only a relative description between targeted cell and non-targeted cell based on the differences in the expression levels per unit cell mass. So these are some parameters we discuss which affect the drug attachment to the cancerous cell.